If you're planning to invest in a fast food franchise or any business for that matter, but let's speak about fast food franchises, always check on this before you invest. This is something we didn't do, and only later on, when we started analyzing the numbers, then we realized this is why we have a problem in the stores. Always check on what is your GP margin. So if you're selling a product, if the franchise is telling you, here's a burger, we're selling it for 120 Rand, have a look at the cost of goods sold. So let's say your cost of goods sold is 70 Rand, which means you're making gross profit on that product of 50 Rand. In that case, your GP margin is 41.7%. Now that is very low, right? Ideally, you want to be around the 60% to 70% range. What we were finding was when we started losing money, or when we were not making money, when we started analyzing the numbers, we realized that we were not even making a 50% GP margin. We were somewhere in the 40s, and almost no business can survive. Because remember, below your GP margin, once you get below this level here, you still need to pay your operational costs, your OPEX, right? You need to pay your OPEX. And that operational cost, that's your rent, that's your staff, that's your electricity, any other costs that come with running the business. And then what you are left with there is your net profit. Sorry, it's a bit awkward to write like this, but you're left with your net profit, right? So your net profit margin. So when you're calculating what we call your return on equity, right? You put a certain amount of money into this thing. When you're calculating your return on equity, you need this net profit number, because you take your net profit and you divide it by the equity that you invested, and that's going to give you what we call your ROE, your return on equity. And when you do that return on equity calculation, if that is coming in at like 6% or 8%, you are probably better off leaving your money in the bank, because you would have got a better return. But it all starts here at the top. So ideally, you want to be in that 60% to 70% range. And this is where a franchise is supposed, a good franchise protects their franchisees, because you can't control what you're selling the product for, right? Because they give you the pricing. Then on the cost of goods sold, if they are the ones supplying you with the product, they should be locking in prices from suppliers so that you are always maintaining around that 60 to 70% GP margin range, because that protects your operational costs and your net profit margin, so that you can earn a decent return on equity on your investment.